All right, what's up, guys? Right here on another podcast show right here with Eli and Mike. And we're excited to have an amazing speaker here today by the name of Hector Padilla. How's it going, dude?
Welcome, well. Great. Thanks, you guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you. It's raining outside, so thank you for making it, you know. If you're in California, everybody knows it's raining right now. It's all over social media.
Well, what's funny with California is that when it rains, it's like there's a blizzard.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to go out. Everybody stays home, and it's like sprinkling.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're just spoiled out here for some reason.
I think we had like 50 agents that were coming in today, and we're the only 3 that came. So, you know, if that shows anything.
State of emergency.
Yeah. Right. Yes, exactly. So we do want to start off asking you one of our main questions that we want to ask you, which, from, building from 1 penny to, $100 million. That's even hard for me to say, $100 million in assets. We want to know where did this all start? Where was that penny? Where was that beginning?
Okay, so that story is actually a true story. So what happened was I was a Santa Monica police officer.
Oh, wow.
And everybody told me to get into real estate.
Okay.
So I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know what a mortgage was. I didn't know anything. So what I did was I went to Barnes & Nobles and I bought a book on how to be a real estate investor. And that book said, get a business card that says real estate investor. So I literally got business cards that said real estate investor.
Amazing.
And I told everybody that I was a real estate investor.
Wow, love this.
And I had no money. And I didn't know what I was doing.
That's such a great strategy, though. I mean, because everybody can instantly believe that based on that credibility aspect, but you just use it as a way to get the foot in the door.
Well, you learn a little bit of everything in life, okay? So as a police officer, I learned command presence, your positioning and your posturing, right? Because I'm not that big of a guy. I'm 5'11". And when you're pulling over a guy that's 6'4", you got to have positioning and posturing to take control of that situation. So when I would tell everybody that I was a real estate investor, I said it with impact. Wow. I believed it, even though I had no idea what I was doing.
Okay, love this.
And that makes sense because we have actually sheriff and cop friends that are very much like that. They're very assertive and very direct. So you come off that way automatically, I'm sure.
So then people thought I was a real estate investor. So my cousin calls me and goes, hey, now that you're a real estate investor, I have this guy that wants to sell this burnt down property, right?
No way.
So at that time, I also started working as an assistant for a broker. Okay. As an assistant for the broker.
While still being in the police force?
No. So I left the police force.
Yes.
And then I got a job as an assistant working for a broker.
Okay.
And then I told everybody that I was a real estate investor. So my cousin says, now that you're a real estate investor, I got this deal. It's a burnt down duplex. So he told me about it. I bought it for about $32,000. Right?
No way.
Yeah.
That was a sales price.
That was a sales price. But,
but
it was a burnt down. It wasn't
okay.
It wasn't ready to go.
Right.
No, it was burnt down.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go look at it, and sure enough, it's burnt down.
Right. Yes.
But I figured for $32,000, and this was near downtown LA. So for $32,000, I just figured the dirt has to be worth $32,000.
Right. Los Angeles for sure.
Yeah. So literally, what I did was I took a 5-gallon, and I have this on Instagram on my social media.
Yes.
I had a 5-gallon thing of water with a bunch of pennies in it and coins and dollar bills and 20s in it. So it was literally a piggy bank.
Okay.
No way.
So I cashed that out, and then I cashed out my retirement plan from Santa Monica PD, and that's how I bought my first deal.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
But not knowing what I'm doing. So at the time, I have no office. So to meet with the seller, I said, hey, meet me at Denny's.
Okay.
So Denny's was my office.
There you go.
I still don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
I meet with the guy at Denny's. He gives me the purchase agreement, and the purchase agreement is 12 pages long. I look at it. I have no idea what I'm reading.
Wow.
But again, being a police officer, I learned about positioning and posturing and command presence.
Okay.
So I get the purchase agreement, and I toss it on the table, and I said, this isn't what we talked about. Right? And I walked away, and I go into the bathroom. Then I get in the bathroom, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing.
Because this is like a burnt down duplex.
Yeah, it's a burnt down duplex.
This is like your first deal.
It's going to be all of my money.
All of your money, even the pennies in that jar.
Pennies, literally.
Oh my goodness. Right? Okay, so you're in the Denny's bathroom. Like, what's going on? Okay.
So I come back out, and he's like, no, this is everything we talked about. So he explains the agreement to me. He's like, here's the purchase price. This is the APN number. This is the deposit, escrow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And then I said, let me see it. So I get the agreement, and I pretend like I start reading it. Right.
Love it. Because remember, you're a seasoned investor here,
Yeah,
right?
supposedly I know what I'm doing.
Yes, exactly. Love this.
But long story short, I took those pennies and I turned them into millions.
Wow.
I closed on the transaction. Back then, there was a magazine called like The Recycler. I think.
Oh,
it
I've
was.
heard about that.
Remember
Yeah,
that?
back in the day.
Oh, yeah, back in exactly. Back in-
Okay,
that was
okay.
24 years ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I put this little ad that said hottest duplex in LA County. It was so hot it was on fire.
Oh
Right?
my God.
So it was literally,
Literally.
the cheapest duplex, but
Okay.
because it was burnt down.
Right.
So again, knowing positioning and
Ah,
posturing,
yes.
I would go meet with contractors, and I would just pitch it to them. Like, all you need to do
Oh,
is the
wow.
kitchen goes here, the bathroom goes there. You put in new windows. I had
Yes.
no idea what I was talking about,
Wow.
and the contractors would look at me like I was stupid, and they're like, "No, dude, like this is burnt down.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you can't just do that. This is a
Got
tear
it.
down."
Yes.
But I just kept on pushing.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I started to learn more about the business is I would work as an assistant to the broker. Then I would come home to my home office, which was my bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had a an answering machine, and I would take all the phone calls. But by talking to those contractors, I started to learn how to answer questions. And sometimes they would ask me a question, and I didn't know what the answer was. So you know what I would do? I would hang up on them. Right? I would hang up
Okay.
on them.
That's a good reaction.
Right,
It catches
right,
you
right.
from not saying something that you don't know.
So I would
Not
just
gonna
hang
lie,
up
I've
on
done
them.
this. I've done this, and I know you guys probably have done this before too. But
And then I would think about, okay, what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
Right.
And then I would think about something. I'd call them back and I say, I'm so sorry we got disconnected. And then I would answer the
This is so
question,
good.
right?
Yeah.
So finally, this one contractor meets with me, and I saw him give me that look, like, does this guy know what he's talking about? But he bought it.
Right.
So he bought it. I put it in escrow, and then escrow calls me up and says, "Hey, the transaction's closed. We're gonna mail you the check." I'm like, "Hell no, don't mail it. I'm code 3, lights
Yeah.
and sirens. I'm picking up my check."
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So-
Right. Yes.
I go pick up the check. I take it to the bank, and I tell the banker, when this clears, call me. The banker calls me and says the check cleared. I was like, holy shit.
No way.
If I could I made about 22,000 profit
Okay.
plus my initial down payment of like
Yes.
32, right?
Mm-hmm,
So 34.50. I had about 55,000 liquid, which was more money that I would ever make as a police officer. So when I did that, I just felt like, man, if I can make this kind of money, not knowing what I'm doing, if I learn this business, I'm gonna get wealthy.
And that's so impressive too, because
Wow.
many people don't even know that real estate can make you so much multitude of money if you just get into it. You don't always have to be so practiced and experienced.
Right.
At least get your foot in the door with
Right.
either the right broker, or in your case,
Right.
did you even come with did you go with a broker, or was just you solo by yourself?
I did it by myself. I was working for a broker at the time
Right.
as an assistant for a broker, and he taught me a little bit about fix and flips.
Mhm.
But that was my rationale. My rationale was the dirt has to be worth more than 32,000.
That's
Right. And pitching
So-
those contractors and
Yeah,
you
and then
going out
pitching
there
'em.
doing it.
And then again, I would have so many messages when I would come home from work, from my job as an assistant,
Yes.
that I learned a lot from the contractors. And then I just said, okay, now I got this. Like, I'm starting to really learn it. And I just took off from there.
That's
Wow.
that's amazing. And you know, so you went from pennies to millions. So obviously, this was your first transaction, and
Right.
the light bulb turned on. You're like, all right, this is gonna be fun. So what was the next step after that? So I'm sure a lot of our viewers are like, I want to get in real estate. How do I start making some impact and changing in my life?
And
Especially-
before you go to the next
Yeah.
step, what would you tell people? Go all in, because that was literally
No.
your no.
No, no.
Okay,
But you
because that was
kinda-
your
I mean,
that
you-
was
you
your
kinda
pennies.
did, yeah.
That was
Hey.
like your pennies, like.
Yeah, but I was single. I had no kids. I wasn't married at the time. I didn't have to take care of my elderly parents. All I had to take care of was myself, and my overhead was very low.
Got it.
So something else I did is when I got into real estate, I cut all of my overhead. I was literally cutting my own hair. I was having peanut
Got
butter
it.
and jelly
I
for
mean,
breakfast.
from the looks
Well,
of
not
it,
no
I think
more.
you're okay now.
Right.
And look,
Yeah.
you got the
Now I have
fame.
a
That looks
You got
that
a
looks pretty
barber.
clean. We might need a haircut too. But
But
yes,
I cut
but
all
yes.
overhead.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
was washing my own car. I stopped going to the dry cleaners. I stopped going out. I wasn't going out anymore. I packed my own lunch. I mean, I literally cut overhead, and that helped me out a lot.
Got
Because
it.
now I wasn't stressed out about
Yes.
having all these expenses.
Got it.
What happens now with social media and TikTok and Instagram and everything else, and this is something that I'm against, is that everybody wants to look rich instead of having the discipline to become truly wealthy.
Right.
So because they want to look rich, they're spending all this money and they just swipe it.
Yes.
They want to get the shoes and swipe it, the
Right.
belt, swipe it, the
Right.
car, swipe it. So now they have a noose around their neck with all of this monthly overhead, so they can't take on risks
Right.
because their overhead is so high.
I couldn't agree with you more. Even we learned from that at the last from the last company we were at. We were just spending money like crazy because that was a philosophy. Some cultures and some businesses are very different.
Right.
They're like, go spend your money, look like you have a lot of money, and make everybody believe that you're just there. Which is kind of a different version of how you came into real estate and you started. I'm just going to act like I'm this guy that's an investor, but you did it without having to spend the look like you're like that rich guy, right?
Right.
Here, especially in Beverly Hills, people want to act the front like, oh, I have all these Ferraris, these cars, I have these massive bank accounts, and we unfortunately learned that way. And I think a lot of people that even are in real estate, they practice that. Oh, I got to look like I'm fancy, like I got a lot going on, and it's the fastest way to crash. Because we crashed and burned so bad from those type of situations.
Right.
And now we've learned like our overhead is so substantially low because we understood that, hey, let's stop looking so fancy.
Right.
And if we have suits, let's dress in like that. And just like you're dressed right now. But when we get there, at least our overhead isn't so much that we can't build something with it, you know?
Absolutely. So I call it a Henry, okay? So a Henry is high earner, not rich yet. So what happens in real estate, I was just talking to another gentleman who was a teacher, and he goes, in a year he was making like $65,000. He gets into real estate, he's a realtor, closes a couple of transactions, he makes $100,000 in 3 months. So in his mind, he's rich.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But he's not. And they don't realize that he's a high earner, not rich yet.
I love that.
So what I'm trying to tell people is you need to have delayed gratification. Become the savvy and sophisticated investor. Learn how to do joint ventures. Learn about seller financing. Learn how to source the deal. Become wealthy. Don't just look rich.
And I can add to that. I feel like a lot of people want it so bad that they still go for it. But I think that's also an example of them learning. Like they have to fall and crash and then realize, all right, I messed up. I got to get back up. Because we learned it. I'm sure that's happened to you as well. I'm sure you fell and you're like, I made a mistake. I went too fast. I got to go back and restart, follow your steps again. But it's something that I feel like it's great about you because you have all this experience now. You have 100 million plus in assets, which we haven't even really got to, and you're preaching to everybody, check this out, guys. Like, don't go so fast. Practice, understand, don't spend all your money. And that's a great talent that many people don't even offer anymore. People just want to go 100 miles per hour.
Right.
Absolutely. And something else with that, like, look, especially what I call the young cats. So a young cat is someone who's young, but they want to work and they want to earn their money. That's a young cat. A pussy cat is someone who pretends.
I love that.
Someone who pretends they have money.
Yes.
And they have this big ego, okay? But they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And they're claiming to be rich, and they're claiming this, and they're claiming that, and it's all fake flash. They lease out an exotic car. They rent a house in an area they cannot afford to buy in, and they talk all this fancy stuff, right? Then next thing you know, what happens? They owe money to the IRS.
Yes.
Everybody finds out that, no, they don't have this net worth.
Right.
They don't own any real estate.
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So become a savvy and sophisticated investor and build up your real estate portfolio. And something else, like people recently thought that I was against the Lamborghini or against the cars. I'm not. I had the Rolls Royce.
Right.
Right now I have a AMG G-Wagon and a Porsche GTS.
Amazing.
So get the cars you guys want.
Yes.
But delayed gratification. Invest in cash producing assets first. Let the cash producing assets pay for your dream car. The mistake is they pay for the dream car with earned active income. Whatever they're earning actively, they're using that to get the car.
Right.
Wow.
And that's why they're not going to get rich or wealthy.
Yes.
Start a holding company that holds real estate, make some money. The holding company makes the down payment, right? You lease the car to the holding company, and then the real estate starts making the monthly payment.
Right.
Yes.
Now you're paying for your dream car
Right.
with cash producing assets. So get into cash producing assets first and have that pay for all the toys.
Wow.
Such a great formula. So
And you're also a mentor, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and you know, there's a lot of mentors out there, especially you young cats out there. There's a lot of mentors out there, you know, and truly you have to find a mentor, just like Mr. Hector, because there's so many mentors out there that are actually preaching the opposite. You know, just as we were saying, you know, we've been in that world where, you know, we've had mentors where, you know, go, you know, spend the cash and look flashy, all that great stuff.
But that right there should be the red flag. And this is why I say that you need to have a vetted mentor, someone who is wealthy, not pretending to be wealthy, not the fake flash,
Right.
not pretending to be rich,
Right.
but where you know this is a vetted mentor.
Yes.
This guy is wealthy.
Right.
He's seasoned.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you guys want to learn from, not from some guy that, there was a spike in the real estate and the real estate market's going up.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, he's a genius,
Right.
and he's been doing well for 1, 2, or 3 years, maybe 5 years. That's still not a vetted and affluent mentor.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Exactly.
question for you. So you speak in very articulative language. You sound very experienced. Obviously, it's come in time. Did you go to school? How did you learn your articulation? You seem very poised.
I earned my MBA.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know what an MBA is?
Masters,
In?
business administration.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I was like, I didn't.
Oh, it was that.
I was like, I didn't
Did I get it
know.
right?
I was like, I
MBA?
didn't know. So good thing
So,
you know.
Okay.
you guys have heard of Harvard?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't go there either.
Okay.
Okay.
I was
You-
about
you-
to believe you.
you heard
too.
of
I was like,
Stanford?
shoot. I was
You heard
like,
of
you didn't go there
Stanford?
either?
I didn't go there
Okay,
either.
okay, okay. I was like, oh my
So,
god.
so what I tell people is that an MBA, traditionally speaking, does stand for a Master's in Business Administration.
Got it. Okay.
So I do have an MBA,
Yes.
but my MBA is a massive bank account.
Okay.
And
Okay,
I,
hold on.
Yeah.
Hey, repeat that. What did you say?
so my MBA is having a massive bank account.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loves it. Loves it.
And I went to
Oh
this
my
very
God.
affluent college. It's called Santa Monica Community College.
Okay, love it. Love it. We love
I went
community
to LA
colleges.
Unified School System,
my
where
goodness.
sometimes
Wow.
the teacher didn't show up.
Oh
Yeah?
my
Sounds
god.
like the school district in LA.
Yeah, that was in LA.
Sounds about right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I literally flunked kinder, first, second, and third grade.
No way.
Not because I was dumb, but because I could not. The teacher wasn't able to hold my attention, and I was always talking. And now I get paid for talking.
There you go. There you go. Right. Exactly.
Now I get paid for speaking.
Yes. Yes.
So I went to the LA Unified School System. I went to Santa Monica Community College. And then I went to Dominguez Hills, which is not a good school.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
got my bachelor's in business administration with the minor in criminal justice.
All
And then
right.
I became a Santa Monica police officer.
Wow.
So, but what I tell people is I learned way more outside of college than I did in college. So how did I do it? And when I got started, there was no Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or Google. None of that was around.
Right.
How old are you? If I could ask you.
Right. Yeah.
No,
For us.
I just turned 49.
Oh my
in
god.
January,
amazing.
I turned
my
49.
No,
God.
but see, happiness cures aging.
Right.
Does it?
Right.
Very
yes,
young.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, so 49.
Wow. Amazing.
But let
And
me go
when
back
did
to-
you when did you get when did you finish school to be the cop, or were
I
you
graduated from college in 1999.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
became a police officer in 1999.
Got it,
Nice.
got it. And that first investment with the pennies, how old were you when you had your first?
Oh, that was like that was in 2000. That was right away.
Oh wow.
But let me go
Fast.
back. So here's what I did. I was a reader. So as they say, all leaders are readers. So every day I was reading an hour, 2 hours a day.
Amazing.
Audio programs, back when I started, they were on cassettes.
Wow.
So I would
okay.
literally walk around with the
Love it.
cassette in my hand, listening to
Wow.
audio programs.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And then vetted mentors. Vetted mentors is what gave me that exponential growth because they showed me how to leapfrog forward, how to do it quickly, how to create that exponential growth. So what I did is not normal, right? If you try to do it on your own, it's going to take you 20, 30, 40
Right.
years
Right.
if you make it.
Yes.
But when you have a vetted mentor that is showing you, here's how you do it, that's what we call the shortcut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing.
Amazing,
And honestly, that's it's interesting because I've done real estate mortgage for 22 years, and we were talking before this podcast about
Right.
the way to utilize seller financing. So I want to ask you because I think seller financing is something that people don't talk a lot about, but that's a huge strategy in earning a property in real estate and how to submit an offer. So even we were trying to buy a property in Beverly Hills, believe it or not.
Yes. We're
But
trying to be your neighbor.
We're trying to be your neighbor. Stephanie hasn't given us the address yet, but we'll figure
yeah.
it out.
Exactly.
So what would be your best method in buying something? Let's just say I want to buy something in Beverly Hills because I want to go fast. But obviously I'm vetted. I have some experience. I understand how to use the money. But I want to buy something, instead of buying something small time, like you did with your duplex, I want to earn 20 to 30 grand. I want to go in and make maybe $500,000 on the future sale of that property,
Absolutely.
but utilize seller financing. What's the best strategy you recommend?
Okay, so I'll tell you with what you just said. So I used to be a coach for Tom Ferry.
Amazing.
And when I was a coach for him, we had other guys that I was coaching with, right? So now I became the mentor to those coaches.
Wow.
And they took my training, except for one gentleman didn't, and his name is Ramon Sanchez, right? He just took my training. So he's been a realtor, a top producing realtor for 32 years. And he's like, man, Hector, if I would have taken your training 32 years ago, even 15 or 20 years ago, I would have owned so much real estate.
Wow.
Because he didn't know about seller financing. He didn't know about how to do joint ventures. As soon as he left the training, boom, he got to deal with seller financing.
Fantastic.
Then he got a second one doing a joint venture.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
So for you realtors out there and loan officers and brokers, you guys have to learn how to do unconventional real estate. If you want to create exponential growth, you got to learn how to do it.
And,
So
and do you usually and I'm sorry to stop you. Do you
Yeah.
usually do seller financing? How do you get it in a way that you can get seller financing and convince the seller to be in second position? Because that's been always the biggest hurdle with
Yes.
most transactions we run into.
It's been
Yeah.
hard for us.
I'm assuming there's a method or a negotiation in it.
So a couple of things. So one of the things that I say that belly to belly, right, mano a mano, is meeting the seller in person and letting them see that you're a good person and you have good energy
Yes.
and
Wow.
that you want to work with them. So I say if they like you and they trust you, they're going to want to do business with you, right?
Amazing.
So you must learn how to become a persuasive communicator, not a manipulative communicator. When you're persuasive, you're showing the seller why it's in their best interest to work with you and why it's in their best interest to do seller financing, right? That's being a
Yes.
persuasive communicator.
That's amazing.
But what happens for a lot of you guys is you guys go out there and you meet with the seller, you don't know how to build rapport, so
Right.
you're contacting the seller, but you're not connecting with the seller. And you guys got to learn how to connect with the seller,
Very
how to
important.
build that rapport so that they like you, trust you, and want to do business with you.
Yes.
Wow.
Then the second part is you guys don't know how to explain seller financing. So you guys go over there, you make the offer, but you don't know how to explain the benefits, right?
Right.
So, this is a whole class
Oh,
on this,
I
but
can
let me give you
imagine,
guys
yeah.
Oh yes.
like
yes.
some brief
Some-
bullet points.
Fantastic.
Please.
So I'll give you an example. I bought a 16 unit with seller financing, okay? And I had the seller leave the first in place, and we did an AITD, an all-inclusive trust deed, which is also known as a wraparound with Chase Bank.
Okay.
So the first stayed in place on mirror terms. Then the seller carried a second, which is subordination.
Wow.
Okay. And really, it's more of a third because it's the Chase Bank and then the wrap and then the seller
And the
financing.
seller.
But to
Wow.
keep it simple, we just say they're in a second position.
Got it.
Right. Then I had a private investor put in a third, which is really more of a fourth trustee, and that was the down payment. So that was 100% financing.
Wow.
But the only reason why I was comfortable doing 100% financing in that situation, I bought that property for about give or take around 2.6. The ARV, the after repositioning value, is about 4.5.
Wow.
Fantastic.
So because the
Wow.
spread, or as they say right now, the arbitrage, which is just spread, the spread is so big that I felt comfortable doing 100% financing.
Perfect.
Right?
Amazing.
So there's so many different ways to structure seller financing, but that would be one. Leave the first in place, have the seller carry a second, right?
Wow.
Or tell the seller, listen, you're going to be in a second position. It's called subordination. Your payments are going to be made on time. And then I'm going to get a first with hard money, soft money, a private investor, because a bank is not going to allow you to have a second.
That's right.
Right? So leave the first in place, have the seller carry a second, explain to the seller that they're going to subordinate, and you bring in a new first.
Fantastic.
Right? Reposition the asset,
Amazing.
and then refinance it and cash out the seller.
Perfect.
But here's something, like, look, here's another technique.
Yes.
So I had another large deal, and what I did is the seller didn't want to get cashed out. So I had a substitution of collateral, which meant that his money was secured by one building, but it was such a low interest rate, it was like 3.5%, that I moved that loan to another asset. So then I can refinance that asset with a bank loan and get a better rate.
And this is your asset, right?
This is my
Okay,
asset.
Another collateral.
Wow.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So now the substitution of collateral is with another one of my assets.
Fabulous.
But when you learn how to play this game,
Right.
right? It's the
Yes.
difference between checkers when you're flipping and chess when you're into the multi-million-dollar deals, and then you start to learn how to do the fancier deals, and you become the savvy and sophisticated investor.
Amazing. And what do you think the reason why this is not so known to realtors, investors? Why, if this is so amazing, to get a property, 100% financed, why do these real estate professionals or investors don't know about this, or why it was so hard for them to do? Or, this is my question, because it sounds so amazing.
It is amazing.
Right. Yeah. I'm just like, oh
Like,
my
it
God. My mind's like blown.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys are taking notes, because this is incredible. But
Well,
but why,
So here's the thing, is most people don't understand that your number one asset is yourself. So the number one thing that you guys need to invest in is yourself. And people don't want to pay for a vetted mentor. I just had what I call a dumb shit, or I call them a pussycat.
Okay. I think we know these type of people. Okay.
But he tells me he doesn't need a mentor.
Right.
Because everything is free on social media. And I said, so if that's true, why are you now 35? And he says, no, I'm 40. Worse, why are you 40 and still broke? If everything is free on social media and you don't need a vetted mentor and you know everything, why are you still broke?
Right. Yeah.
So the challenge is that a lot of realtors will not pay to get a vetted mentor. They'll go to a quick teaser class on how to do, what do they call it? How to assign a contract.
Got it.
Or they'll take a weekend course for $500 on how to flip a property. Right? Or they'll go to an event to learn how to take a listing, but they won't pay to become the savvy and sophisticated investor.
Right.
When I would go talk to somebody, remember this, KMS, know my shit. When I went in and I spoke with the seller or with the broker, I knew my shit.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So when they can see in my eyes that I'm speaking with confidence, then they feel comfortable because they know that I know.
Right.
And I can answer all of their questions. And I speak with confidence because I know my shit.
Love
That's
that.
amazing. So,
Love
so
that.
you would be somebody who recommends getting a vetted mentor, not just because I think the word mentor gets tossed around so much. A mentor could be just some dude that does real estate,
Right.
but somebody vetted, obviously, that has shown a proven record. Hey, I can show you a proven record, kind of like a resume of all the stuff I've done.
Right.
And then therefore I'm assuming you're a mentor, obviously, and somebody would get you as a mentor for you to teach them how exactly they can build their capital in real estate, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's amazing. So in the process of being the mentor, what do you think this year? I feel like a lot of people are trying to do things with other people. I'm finally starting to see it. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I feel like people are past the whole COVID experience and realizing, right, nobody's getting out.
The
market's changing. The rates are slightly getting better, but I feel like people are now understanding, all right, maybe I should go out and collaborate. What do you think about the aspect of collaborations? I've noticed you're going to be speaking at an event on Thursday. It looks to me like you're collaborating in collaboration, but is that something that you are practicing right now?
Absolutely. Well, it depends. Right? So for my real estate business, not so much anymore.
Okay.
So, but the way I started it was by doing joint ventures, right? So I would bring in a funding partner, I would bring in a partner, I would do a syndication. All right. So that's how I was able to grow it so fast. Now my goal is to have the least amount of partners anymore.
Okay.
So now if I am going to partner with someone, I'll bring in one partner.
Amazing.
And that's it. I won't bring in 20 people and all 20 of them put in 20,000 or 15,000 or 50,000, because those people, that's like all of their money. So now they panic and they want to know every day, what's going on with the project? Am I getting my money
That's
back?
right.
When is it going to
Yes.
when is it going to sell, right?
Right.
But when you deal with another wealthy person and they lend you 500,000 and they understand the deal, they're going to let you run with it. So I would rather work with one funding partner, one investor, than to put together 20, 30, 50 people.
And did you like, you're the one, like, how did you come up with these like syndicates, these collaborations as an individual? Did you just one day say, you know what, I'm going to go find a business partner who has $100,000 and they're going to help me with this deal? And then you just went out there just as you went with those, construction individuals, and you just kept pitching it.
No, you got to learn it. So
Okay,
I've always had vetted mentors.
Got it.
So the vetted mentors are what taught me how to do it, and they would give me the paperwork.
And see, I love that,
And they
because
would say,
we've been to events where we want to go all in, and we're like, okay, we could also do this, but we're not educated. You know what I mean? So we definitely need that mentor. We need that vetted mentor. You know what I mean? Or else, because again, our mindsets have always been like, we can go out and we can find people and they're going to want to invest with us. But again, because we don't have that, vetted mentor to show us, that's, I think, the key right there. If you're trying to find those partners out there, you can't just go out there and do it,
Well, not just that, but look, so when I started off too, I also started off as a realtor. So I started off as a buyer's agent, then as a listing agent, then I was a top producing listing agent, broker owner, and then I was doing flips. But what I learned quickly is that after chasing listings for 15 years is that as soon as I sold one listing, I had to get out there and get the next listing.
Yes.
As soon as I closed a buyer, I got to go out there and get another buyer.
Yes.
As soon as I flipped the property, I had to go out there and find another flip. So I was always on the hamster wheel, and I was always in the rat race, and then I was getting killed in taxes. So it wasn't until I made my pivot and I became the savvy and sophisticated investor that I learned how to get the multi-million-dollar properties.
Wow.
And that's what has allowed me to live my dream lifestyle now. So like now when we go on a vacation, it's not even a vacation, it's what I call a mini sabbatical.
Okay.
We'll leave for 30, 35, 40, 45 days, and we're
Wow.
going to Japan,
Wow.
Singapore, Indonesia.
Oh my god.
We're like traveling the world, not going to Hawaii for 5 days.
Oh my god.
Fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So my daughter, by the age of like 8, she's already been to 4 continents and 10 countries,
Wow.
Oh my
which is more than
goodness.
most adults have done,
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
I've been to 24 countries
Wow.
and 24 or 26 countries and 4 continents.
Wow.
But those are real vacations. And when I'm on vacation, I'm not on my laptop returning emails and on my cell phone and stressed out over, is my escrow gonna close? I simply don't buy and I don't sell anything when I'm on our mini sabbatical. And this is the position that you guys want to be in.
Yes.
Like my mentor told me, pendejo, which means idiot, right?
Right.
In English.
Yes.
He's like, you want to put yourself in a position where I don't need to sell anything anymore.
Right.
Right.
I don't need to buy anything
Yes.
anymore. I don't need to go chase a flip. I don't need to chase a listing or a buyer because I already have my monthly cash flow. If I don't do anything for the next 7 or 10 years, my real estate portfolio is going to double in price. My
Amazing.
rental income, I was just showing Steph one of my rent rolls this morning. My rental income is going to double every 7 to 10 years.
Wow.
So I do nothing other than raising my rents.
Yes.
My portfolio doubles.
Powerful.
I was showing Steph one of my rent rolls. When I bought the building, my rent was $1,700. Right now, with Section 8,
Yes.
we got $3,800.
Wow. Wow.
That's a big jump.
That's
That's
huge.
exponential growth.
And Section 8 is guaranteed income from the government. It's like
That's it.
fantastic.
Wow.
And look here, and when we're
Wow.
talking about exponential growth, I was showing her this building. Okay, it's only a 12-unit building, and I said, Steph, if I just raise the rent on 3 of my lower-paying tenants, okay, when those rents come up to market, my value just by raising the rents with new tenants on those 3 doors goes up by $1 million.
Wow.
How hard do you need to work as an entrepreneur, as a loan officer, listing agent, buyer's agent, broker? How hard do you need to work to make $1 million?
Right.
The answer is a lot.
Yeah.
Very,
Right.
very, very much so.
Yeah,
very
we've
much
done
so.
it. And
Yeah, it's a lot of
definitely
work.
A lot of
Yes.
work. Yeah.
No, look, when I was a top producing agent, I closed 200 transactions in a year.
Wow.
I don't wish that upon anybody. Why? I almost had a heart attack.
I feel you. I feel
It was
you.
a lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work, and I had
Right.
a team, so it sounded great. I closed 200, so my gross was high. But once I paid the team, and I paid my overhead, and I paid the taxes, my net take home was shit.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So you guys got to learn how to build the real estate portfolio. When you refi cash out, that money is tax free. You use that money to go buy your other real estate, right?
Yes.
When you're done repositioning the asset, you guys got to learn is what is the return on equity. When you figure out your return on equity, if it's too low, then you got to sell that asset, do a 1031 exchange, and then level up,
Powerful.
and then rinse and repeat.
Powerful.
So you have this so much knowledge, and it's interesting because you come from humble beginnings. You have a
Yes.
you have a wife, Patty. If I'm
Yes.
right.
Yes.
You have a daughter,
Bella.
Bella.
Yes.
Okay. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to use my memory. So
Right.
and you have this humbleness to you. Were you always humble?
Yes.
So let's just
No.
go really
Right. I was
let's
like
go
you.
all the way
I was
back.
like you had pennies in a jar. What water?
Yeah,
No,
so,
like-
so let's go really backwards. So let's talk about your upbringing. How did
Yes.
you grow into
Yes.
becoming?
Because
who
are
you
you an only child? Where did you grow up?
God, I wish I can show you guys some pictures. So I don't know if I don't know if you guys will be able to post.
Yes,
that.
we
we can
will
post them up,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
be
so we'll
pulling
post
them
some
up.
pictures of when I was a
Yes.
kid.
Loves it.
At the age of 4, I was washing dishes at home,
Oh my God. Yeah.
but I knew my why. You know what my why was? Why was I washing dishes? I wanted my own dozen donuts from Winchell's.
Oh, wow.
Literally.
Oh my God.
That's why I was
love
washing
it.
dishes,
I
okay?
love it. Yes.
So at 4 years old, I was
Mhm.
washing dishes to buy my own dozen donuts at
Yes.
Winchell's.
Let's
All
go.
right. At 5 years old, I was stuffing envelopes. For every envelope that I would stuff, and you can see this picture, I look miserable. I'm like hunched over and I'm stuffing
We
an
need to
envelope.
pull this picture
And
up.
you're 5.
I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So for every envelope, I'd get 1 penny. Okay?
Okay.
So I quickly learned that I didn't want to do back-breaking work
Mhm.
at 5 years old.
Mhm.
At 9 years old, I was working at a printing press making minimum wage. And I knew no matter how good I got at working that printing press and the folding press,
Mhm.
I was making minimum wage. I was 9 years old.
Mhm.
At 9 and 10, I had a paper route. And I would go pass out the newspaper and I would sell the newspaper door to door, right?
Mhm.
But what I learned doing that is that there were no days off.
Mhm.
Even if it was sprinkling or raining,
Right.
that paper has to get out,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And I'm like 10 years old in my
Yeah.
T. Murray bike, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
and passing out the newspaper. And then I started to learn when I was selling the newspaper, I learned how to think out of the box and think into a new box.
Mhm.
So when somebody didn't want to buy the newspaper,
Mhm.
right, then I would say, you know what, really why I'm out here tonight, and it's like dark, 7 o'clock at night, it's because I'm trying to go to Magic Mountain.
Wow.
Can you give me a donation, anything that would help me
Mhm.
go to Magic Mountain? And you know what the average tip was? This is, years ago. What is this? Call it 39 years ago.
Okay.
The average tip was $5.
Oh.
So the $5 tip was more than what I would make by selling the newspaper.
Wow.
And it was cash. And I didn't pay taxes. It was tax-free money.
Right.
It went into that piggy bank.
Yes. Yes.
We'll
the
delete
whole
that.
thing. The whole
Yeah,
thing.
delete this part.
Delete that part.
The
I
whole
paid,
thing.
paid taxes on that money.
Right, yeah.
So I always had hunger, and I was always thinking
Amazing.
how to turn shit to sugar, how to
Okay,
turn dust to
okay.
diamonds.
Wow.
My dad bought me a Walkman. You guys remember that Sony Walkman,
Yes,
the yellow
yes,
one?
I
yes.
actually had one.
You
yeah.
said
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
badass. Right? That was
I
badass.
loved
I
it.
was like,
dude.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I had that thing, and I
Yeah.
walked into junior high, and everybody was like, "Oh man, that is so cool."
Yeah.
So guess what I did? I started selling them. You know what the
Wow.
problem was?
Love it.
I had no money for inventory, but I learned from Sears. Sears would sell through a catalog. So my Walkman was my catalog. It's like, you want the Walkman? I need this much money up front. I would take so they would pay for it with my profit. I'd give the money to my dad. He'd go to downtown LA and buy the Walkman,
Wow.
and I would make my money.
Wow.
is
Right?
so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was always hustling. Then same thing around that age, around 10, 11, my mom would go shopping at this commercial mall in Culver City, and I would go into the barber shop, and I would sit there for 2 or 3 hours, and I would learn how to cut hair.
Oh
So
my
then I started my
gosh.
own barber shop in my garage,
Oh, okay.
and I would cut my friend's hair, and that's how I would make money. So I always had it in me. I call it the genetic code. So I always say that a baby spider doesn't learn from the daddy spider how to do the web, because the web is a piece of art, right? It's a masterpiece.
Okay.
The spider web. It's just in the genetic code. So I always had that genetic code of I liked money. I wanted to
Yes.
become a millionaire.
Yes.
And I always wanted to buy my own stuff. At the age of 10, I had my own bank account with $350 in it, which
Wow.
was a lot of money back then.
Wow.
Right.
You know,
Wow.
even today, it's like 60% of Americans don't have $1,000 in their bank account.
Correct.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yes.
So for this being way back, 38 years ago,
Yeah.
$350 in a bank account, that was good money for a little kid.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So I always liked money. I was always trying to figure out ways how I can earn money. And then you were talking about being humble. Okay, so when I was in the as a police officer, when I came out from being a police officer,
Yes.
I was cocky.
Okay.
I was cocky, very
Okay.
confident.
Do you,
maybe
feel like it was because of the way they trained you? Because I assume the training
Yeah.
there is
Like
very
you said
hardcore.
earlier, you're walking up to a 6-foot man, and you're
Yeah.
5'11".
right.
Yeah. Every inch does count.
Yes.
Only
Yes.
5'11".
Right. In the police force,
Um,
every inch counts.
What was I gonna say?
sorry. I know,
Humble
my bad, my
beginnings.
bad.
Humble
Right. Humble beginnings. Humble beginnings.
So here's my point.
Yes.
Okay, so when I was young, I was 25.
Uh-huh.
I thought I knew it all.
Mm.
I thought I knew it all. Now that I'm 49, I realize how little I know. Now now I know that I don't know, and I know that it's okay, because now I have my attorneys. I have 3 attorneys. I have my CPA. I have my architect, my engineer. I'm comfortable saying I don't know. Let me talk to my attorney. I don't know. Let me talk to my CPA.
Love
I have my team of experts,
That's
and
right.
I no longer have that ego of trying to be the smartest person in the room.
And that's very hard to scrub off because everybody naturally has an ego. Even I have one. Oh, I'm really good at loans. I know what I'm talking about.
It's okay to have an ego. What's not good is when the ego has you.
So how did you scrub that ego? You know,
I became stoic. So right now, my definition of being stoic is learning how to live a good life. Okay, which is simple yes, easy no, but learning how to live a good life so that you earn an honorable death. I want to be on my deathbed, like they say, when you're born, you come out crying, right? And everybody is smiling and happy that the baby was born. When I'm on my deathbed, I want to go out smiling and be, God damn, that was a fun ride.
Yes.
While everybody else around me is crying because they're going to miss me.
Right.
So I'm going to earn my honorable death.
There you go.
That's leaving a really good staple to people to remember. Like, wow, like this guy was a really nice guy because he built something so huge. And I agree with that. Like, the ego is definitely not something to allow it to consume you, right? So I think you did a really good job, especially coming from training. I don't even know how many people can actually go through that toughness.
Right.
Like, we know people that are in boxing, people that are in UFC fighting, and they come out more cockier. Like, oh, come on, everybody challenge me. But to then, all of a sudden, now you switched it.
It's because you learn more. And now you go by time-proven wisdom, and you go by business fundamentals. And you just become more humble. And I don't really... I don't crave having a garage with 10 Rolls Royces. I don't crave having 5 mansions as vacation homes. I call it being part of the new rich. And part of being the new rich is, number one, is having true time freedom. A lot of realtors will say, oh, I have time freedom. No, you don't. You have a flexible schedule.
Right.
You have time to go drop off your kid at school, but then you got to rush back to the office.
Right.
You have time to go take your 5-day vacation in Hawaii, but then you got to get back home. Right?
Or they're on their computer the whole time.
On their computer. So that's a flexible schedule. Time freedom is different. Financial freedom is different.
Wow.
Right? So being part of the new rich is having time freedom, financial freedom, peace of mind, and having peace of mind and having inner joy.
Right.
You're just enjoying life. You enjoy your family members. You're not full of fake flash. You're not trying to impress everybody.
Right.
You're just living a good life.
That's so powerful.
And that's, I think, what everybody wants. I mean, at the end, we all want to have that peace of mind of going on vacation and feeling like I'm not leaving any business behind.
Yep.
You're just enjoying life. Because let's be real, everybody, after we leave this podcast, we got to do something. I mean, we've got to deal with the traffic for one. Maybe not you, actually. I don't know if you landed on a helicopter in the building, but whatever. But there's still some mission to be accomplished. And I feel like knowing how to separate that is such a hard thing for many people. Even us, it's harder for us to just have a day where we don't work because the phone's ringing, the computers, emails are kicking in, our assistant's calling us, hey, what's going on? So to know how to tune that out, but not necessarily doing that, I'm sure you're not tuning it out. You just know how to calendar it in a way where you can remove yourself completely,
Well, you got to have the team. You got to have the dream team.
Right.
And remember this, is that when you build a true business, is you're running the business, right? The business is not running you. What happens is that a lot of, realtors, loan officers, brokers, is they're not truly business owners. They're technicians. If they're not there taking the loan application, if they're not there taking the listing agreement, they're not making money, right? So you're the technician. So what I would say is you got to learn how to build a true business. But you're still going to have problems. This morning, with this rain, it's always a leaking window, a leaking roof.
Right.
And I have my own maintenance company that handles my portfolio. So I got a bunch of videos on stuff that's going on, but I don't need to run over there to go see it. My maintenance guy sends me a video of a water heater that went out. Doesn't sound like a lot, but they need to call me whenever something is $5,000 or more.
Yes.
That water heater is $7,500.
Wow.
So I want to know
right.
what is it, right?
Yes.
But it's just a quick fix. So they got that. Now there's another window that's leaking. There's nothing new under the sun. In real estate, there's nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
Right? So the window's leaking. Put a towel on it for now. When the rain stops, we're going to get to it. So I don't panic anymore. There's nothing new under the sun. Leaking window. Water heater went out, whatever it is, nothing new under the sun. The dust will always settle. Every storm comes to an end, and you let your dream team handle it.
Amazing.
What
dream team.
Yeah,
Love
what
that.
do you recommend? Somebody now where you're at, you're 49 years old, you've developed this large real estate portfolio. So let's just say somebody brand new is going into real estate. What do you recommend? Maybe 1 to 3 steps, maybe 3 steps of what they should be doing the moment they get into business in real estate, to just drive and try. I mean, again, they're going to make mistakes, but what do you recommend they should be doing to immediately start building something?
Okay, so number one, look, if you don't know how to swim, you're not going to get a speedboat, go out to the middle of the ocean, and then jump in the ocean and say, I'm going to just learn as I go, because you're going to sink.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So you have to invest again in your number one asset, which is yourself. Invest in your training, KMS, know my shit, so you know the business. Once you know the business, depending on what side you're going to get into, but if you're going to get into the investment side, there's 2 things you're going to be doing: prospecting for deals, prospecting for cherry deals, and prospecting for money. Those are the 2 things that you're doing.
Perfect. And the prospecting for money is finding investors to
Finding
use their
investors
money, right?
to use their money. OPM, other people's money. If you're not using other people's money and you're trying to do this with your money, it's going to take you way too long to build exponential growth and to create your real estate portfolio. You have to use other people's money.
What's a great way of knowing how to calculate your ARV? So I know that people use comparables to verify what is around the surrounding of that property. So let's just say a house for $2 million in Costa Mesa or something, as an example, right? Orange County. So I want to buy, let's just say I want to buy this property for $2 million, and I do have maybe $500,000 in the bank, but I don't want to leverage my money. I want to use everybody else's money. So what would be the right tactic to get into this property if it's for sale by, maybe let's just say it's an off-market listing?
So give me your question. What's the best way to buy it without using your money?
Correct.
Yeah. So look, a billionaire lesson. So I had a mentor that was a billionaire. His name is, we called him Bill the Billionaire.
Oh, wow.
So he already,
That's cool.
So I say that he passed away, but his lessons live on.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I learned a lot from him. And the difference between the way a millionaire thinks, a mega millionaire thinks, and a billionaire thinks, it's completely different. So he would always say, like, do I have to use any of my money? If I don't have to use any of my money, I don't want to use my money.
I love that.
I'll do the deal structuring, but I'm not going to use my money. So you got to learn how to structure the deal and then try not to use your money.
And this is coming from a billionaire.
And that's coming from a billionaire.
You're right.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
Powerful.
So in your situation, if you have 500,000 cash, especially in today's times, people don't realize. I was just talking to somebody today, and I'm like, do you realize what's going on right now? We have the elections going on. We have 2 wars going on.
That's
Yes.
right.
Right?
We do, yeah.
Yes.
Like, we're not, and I tell people, you got to be as calm as a monk, but yet as alert as a warrior in enemy territory. So you still got to be alert, but stay calm. There's nothing new under the sun.
Wow.
Okay? So when you're trying to find these deals, I would stay liquid as best you can and use other people's money to put the deal together.
And is it okay to be going into it 100% instead of, so you brought up the fact that some of your businesses transactions are 100% financing.
Yep.
So to look for the ARV, what is the best method? That way you don't trample yourself and mess something up. Because obviously, let's just say I want to go 100% financing, which a lot of people don't ever want to spend their own money. They rather find somebody to help them, or maybe the seller can finance something. But how do you do it in a way where you, 1, remain liquid, 2, you know how to calculate your ARV, right?
You know how to calculate it.
Calculate it so that you know, right? So how do you do the ARV calculation?
So like in my side of the business now, so we can talk about flips. I used to flip. I don't flip anymore.
Got it.
But in my side of the business with real estate acquisitions, is you guys have to know your own backyard. When I first got started, I was going to Texas, Nevada, Arizona, Myrtle Beach, but I was single, no kids, no wives. I was flying everywhere, and I was closing deals. But what sucks is you're not an expert in that area. So now what I've learned is I don't need to do that anymore. During the last recession, I sold everything that was out of state, and I learned to focus on my own backyard. So now in my backyard, I know what's the gross rent multiplier. I know what the cap rate is. I know what Section 8 is paying in rents.
Yes.
I know what a 2-bedroom is going to rent for. I know price per square foot. I know my numbers in my own backyard. I don't need to go to Texas or to Tennessee. I work my own backyard.
Love that.
So the same thing, if you're looking to do a flip and you're looking at what market?
Let's just say Costa Mesa.
Costa Mesa. Become an expert in Costa Mesa. There may be a boulevard. North of the boulevard is one price. South of the boulevard is another price. Become an expert. Don't wing it. If you wing it, you're going to get killed. Okay? So don't wing it. Become an expert. Know how to determine in the flipping business. It's called the after rehab value, right? Is that what
Right.
it is?
Mhm.
ARV
Correct.
after
Yeah,
rehab
ARV, I
value?
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
So you haven't done that in a
Right.
while.
Yeah.
But in my business, we call it the after repositioning value.
Yeah.
When I buy an apartment building and I reposition that asset and I have market rents, what's it going to be worth?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know the after repositioning value when you're talking about my side of the business, the after rehab value when you're talking about doing a flip.
Right.
But become an expert and then know your CapEx. CapEx is how much money are you going to put into the deal so that you get it to the highest value,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you have to know. So, for example, in my side of the business, I'm not going to put in a Wolf stove.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put in an affordable stove because I'm not going to get any more rent for a $5,000 Wolf stove.
Makes sense. Makes
right?
sense. Yes.
I'm not going to put in expensive tile.
Mhm.
I'm going to put in affordable tile from
Right.
Home Depot
Right.
because I'm not going to get more rent by
Yes.
using higher end finishes.
Mhm.
Wow.
So you got to know your market.
Know your backyard. Love that.
Know your
That's great.
backyard.
Love that.
Know your market.
And it looks like from this podcast today, what we've learned is that you really truly go all in. You educate yourself. You get vetted. Mentors. Fast forward to today, you are living in one of the most sought after cities
Yeah.
in the world. Beverly Hills. And how does this feel? You're in Beverly Hills. You have your beautiful wife, your beautiful daughter, your amazing cars. Your business is stabilized, like you said. You can go for 30 days on a vacation. How does it feel living this life? And now you've put in so much work. Do you feel like you're done? Do you feel like you've made it? Do you feel like, is this your city where you're gonna live the rest of your life? Are you gonna expand out? Where are you now?
I got to take a deep breath on that one.
Yes. Yes.
So look, when I started off working class. I don't come from a rich family.
Got it.
So my dream was, I went from paper boy to security agent at Nordstrom's to becoming a police officer. My dream was to become a police officer, have my Honda Accord,
Mhm.
have a nice house in the front, 3 to 4 units in the back,
Mhm.
picket fence, 2 kids and a dog. That was it.
Wow.
If I can do that,
Wow.
I was, I
Yes.
did it, right?
Right.
So I get out and then I do one deal and then I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. Then I'm like, you know what? I want to become a millionaire. Then I became a millionaire and then I realized that being a millionaire, you don't have any money. All right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So true.
Feel you.
So then,
Yes.
So then I said, man, if I can make $10,000 a month in passive income,
Mhm.
I would be really happy.
Okay.
Okay, but I was single.
Mhm.
So now,
Right.
now once I got married,
Yes.
the name of my company before I got married was HP Capital Investments,
Okay.
which stood for Hector Padilla Capital Investments.
Love it. Love it.
So when they ask you like, what's one of the fastest ways to become a mega millionaire? Do what my wife did. When we got married, she said HP stands for Hector and Patty Capital Investments.
All right, so I'm not gonna.
That's
we
the
love
way
you,
to do it.
Patty.
I'm
We
not
love
gonna
you.
lie. We have a company called M&E Real Estate
Yeah.
Services. So it's
Yeah.
M-E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
We
but
did-
he
we're
took
pretty
on my
similar.
letter. So
Oh, wow,
let's
yeah.
just say that. Let's just.
But okay, so let me go back. All right, so
Right,
then
right.
so I
Shout out to
figured if I
Patty
can
though.
make-
Shout out to Patty. I just
knows.
have to. We love
She-
you.
she's
She
having
did-
a boot camp, by the way, ladies.
Oh,
She's
there
having
you
a boot
go.
camp
Hey.
on how to marry a mega millionaire.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god,
God,
love
right.
it. Oh my
Take
god,
some
let's
notes.
go. I should be there. No, just kidding.
Wow.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
So here's what's funny with that. One day, I'm still doing good as a flipper, and
Yes.
we're out here on Rodeo Drive,
Mhm.
and there was a Rolls Royce. There was a car show, and there was a Rolls Royce.
Mhm.
And my dad says, "Oh, let's take a picture." And I felt silly taking a picture with my dad in front of this Rolls Royce.
Got
It's
it.
$450,000 car,
Okay,
right?
Okay.
And then he's like, "No, come on, let's take a picture." And he says, "One of these days, you're gonna have a Rolls Royce, and you're gonna
God.
bring your wife shopping here."
Oh my god.
And I'm gonna get all choked up. So hold on, let me breathe.
Holy shoot! I
So-
have to breathe too.
so-
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
So my dad believed in me more than I believed in myself. So now
my
fast
God.
forward, my wife goes shopping on Rodeo Drive, and I
Wow.
got the Rolls Royce,
Oh
and
my
I
god.
own a house in this
Wow.
area.
Oh
right?
my god.
So I never imagined in my wildest dreams that this was going to happen. And remember this, here's something else. Like, look, you're going to have financial goals, okay? So I figured if I can make $10,000 a month, I was doing well, right?
Mhm.
But now married, my daughter goes to a school here in Bel Air. We pay about $4,000 a month for her school.
Mhm.
For her
Mhm.
coaching and her tutors, it's another $2,000 a month.
Wow.
Then she has her homeopathic medical doctor, her
Mhm.
dentist, et cetera, et cetera, et
Mhm,
cetera.
mhm.
My daughter cost me $12,000 a month.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Right.
10,000 doesn't cut it anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's only for
So
your daughter.
financial goals are going to change like the weather, but you got to make sure that you move forward with values, and your values are your family values. So you're led by your family values that don't change, and your financial goals are going to change. So for me, it went from making 10,000 to 20,000 to 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and it just kept going up.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing,
Was
amazing,
was there a
amazing.
time that during your growth that you've had a conversation with your kids? Because we have kids too, and I'm sure a lot of people have
You talking my
children.
employees or kids? Because it's kind of the same, right?
True that. True that. I feel you on that.
So yeah, so because actually our daughter works for us, she's a real estate agent,
True.
so I
True.
understand
Yeah.
where you're coming
Right.
from.
Right.
Okay.
So do you believe that? Okay, I lost my question. What was it that I was gonna ask?
About family, kids, about living an affluent lifestyle.
Mm.
So let me
Okay.
tell you, while you remember
Yeah.
that, I'll tell you guys this too. Something that you guys want to do, look, don't get so stuck on I want to become a billionaire.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I want to make a brick. Get off of that.
Yeah.
That's like all TikTok, Instagram BS, okay?
Mhm.
What you guys need to figure out is what I call my one word. And my one word is lifestyle. What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? Meaning, what kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of home do you want to own? What kind of vacation home do you want to own? What kind of dinners do you want to go out to? What kind of clothes do you want to wear? Then you figure out how much is that going to cost me monthly?
Mhm.
Once you figure out that number by doing the reverse math, now create that number with your cash producing assets. Now, at some point, you don't have to work anymore. Now you're working because you want to work. So figure out how much do I need to make in monthly passive income to live my dream lifestyle, and do that with cash producing assets.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So much power, and we always ask this question with our guests, and it's a little bit personal. I know we've already got personal with family, but this question is, have you ever had a time in your life where you were just destroyed? You couldn't get out of bed. You were just like, this is it. I feel like everybody has this moment in their life. Did you have a moment in your life where you were like, I can't go on? And
No,
then
my
now
life has
you're
always
here?
been perfect.
Okay, right? Yeah, I was like, I know you have
A
an
little
answer.
sarcasm.
I know
for
you
sure.
have an answer. though.
No,
But-
you know what? No one lives a perfect life,
Mhm.
right? And there is no such thing as a perfect business or a perfect marriage, right? You're always going to have challenges, but you got to push forward. And as they say, you got to bounce back and learn from it. I'll tell you one moment that I had during the recession. So during the recession, I was doing fix and flips, and I was running a brokerage. And this is right in the middle of that recession. And my assistant comes in, and she says that she needs for me to pay for her salary, right? So
Mhm.
she gives me the check, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And she's like, but there's no money in the account. And I said, don't worry about it. Take it from this other account. She's like, there's no money in that account. I'm like, oh, okay, take it from this other account. She's like, there's no money in that account. Man, my testicles felt to my knees.
Yeah.
Actually, they felt to my ankles.
Oh my god.
Okay, so I had
Yeah.
no liquidity.
Wow.
And then the last little money I had was to be able to pay her.
Mm-hmm.
So I did pay her, but I realized that I was not equity rich, but I did have good equity.
Mhm.
So I was equity rich, cash poor.
Mm.
I had no liquidity.
Wow.
And so I did go into panic mode,
Okay.
trying to figure out how am I going to do this because I had a lot of overhead,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you pivot, you shake and bake, you turn dust to diamonds, and you make things happen. So one of the things that I did is I was living up here in the Hollywood Hills,
Mhm.
but the house was too big for me. Okay, I was literally going there just to sleep because I was working 10, 12, 15-hour days.
Gosh.
So I turned my house into an Airbnb before Airbnb was around.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I stopped by the Four Seasons to have a
Yes.
cocktail.
Right. Right.
And I see a sign that said presidential suite for
Okay.
$5,000 a night.
Yes.
So it just
Wow.
clicked to me, why can't I rent out my house that's twice the size for half the price?
Mhm.
So I started this before Airbnb, and I called
Amazing.
it the Presidential Residence, a hotel alternative for the affluent.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Right?
Okay, I love
And
this
I
idea.
hired amateur models, an amateur photographer. I put it together and I launched it. Long story short, we offered armed bodyguards. Who do you think the bodyguard was?
Mr. Hector, Mr. Hector. I knew it. I knew
We
it.
had
No
a
way.
chauffeured Rolls Royce,
Oh my god.
but I didn't own a Rolls Royce at the time.
Okay.
But I knew where to rent one.
Right.
So if they wanted the Rolls Royce, I'd go rent it and then make a spread on it, right?
Okay.
So the first client that came in was a prince from Saudi Arabia.
No way.
He wanted his kids' pajamas ironed every day, flowers every day, Patron silver every day, housekeeping every day.
Oh my
So
god.
he ran up a huge bill.
Wow.
So his bill was like $75,000. So he bailed me out from that recession. But this is, again, guys, you guys got to know how to pivot, how to
Okay,
turn dust to
yes.
diamonds.
Right.
And you got to be able to move quick.
Yes.
So that's how I got saved
Wow.
from that.
Wow.
Oh my god.
And then from there, I was in I was flipping high-end homes, but that came to a stop.
Right.
So what did I do? I got into REOs. So then I started selling REOs through the brokerage, and then I started buying the REOs, right?
Yes.
So then that grew up my portfolio.
Wow.
So that was a tough time. No one,
Right.
you know, anyone that went through that recession, it was
Yeah.
it was pretty
You're
tough.
talking about the 2008 recession,
Yeah,
right?
2008,
Yeah.
No,
2009.
I went through that. A lot of people that I knew lost their homes
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything. It was very tough.
Oh, no,
was-
there
Shout
was-
out to the Prince of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Just saying, like, oh my god,
Oh, yeah.
that's like amazing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. And wait, how did you pay for like the flowers and all the like? He paid for it.
So when he first came in, I didn't know who he was.
Okay, yeah.
Right? But he gave me a black Amex.
Oh my god.
So when he gave me
Oh,
the black
okay.
Amex back
Wow.
then, I was like, oh, this guy's real.
Right.
Right?
Right.
The way I found out that he was a prince was he said, Hector, I want to buy one of these two houses. They were $5 million each.
Okay.
This is back in 2009, give or
Mhm,
take.
mhm.
And he said, do you have anyone that can help me? I said, of course. Me.
Right. You're like,
So
I'm the bodyguard, but I also can help you buy the
Yeah,
the
that's
property.
I'm a man of all trades.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Wow.
so we were gonna make the offer,
Mhm.
and then he had to give me his passport,
Uh-huh.
and in his passport it said Your Royal Highness.
Oh.
So I looked
wow.
at it, and I'm like, dude, are you like a king or
Oh,
something or what? And he was like,
okay.
I'm a prince.
Oh wow.
And he's like, I'm a prince from Saudi Arabia.
Oh my god.
So yeah, so he definitely saved me.
That's
Wow.
so
Yeah.
powerful. That's
And
so
then
powerful.
that business did right after that. That business started doing really well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I was doing
awesome.
Airbnbs before Airbnbs.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Wow. Well, he helped you out. Definitely all held the prince, right?
go. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, so to finish off, we definitely always like to ask our guests, you know, you have a lot going on, and it sounds like you have
Mhm.
much more of the story to keep going.
Yes.
Aside from where you believe you're heading, in the next 5 years, where do you think you're going to be at? Do you feel like real estate is just going to run on its own course, or are you going somewhere and tearing up into doing something different now for the next few years?
Yeah. So you know what? Excellent question. Most people that are you know speakers,
Mhm.
they're speaking to make money
Mm-hmm.
to then invest in real estate.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
Mhm.
I made my money.
Mm.
So I already made my money in real estate. So for me, I learned a lesson from a very wise person, and he basically said that having too much of anything can be poisonous.
Wow.
Okay, I already have enough real estate. I have one daughter. What she's gonna inherit is way more than what she's gonna need.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't need another apartment building. Having another apartment building does not excite me because it is work to do the value
That's
add.
right. Yes.
It is work to reposition the
Mhm.
asset.
Mhm.
Yes.
So having more real estate does nothing for me. It doesn't excite me at all. Now what I'm passionate about is this.
Love
I'm
it.
passionate about speaking. That's why I'm speaking at NARAP,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And I'm a very I just love mentorship,
Mhm.
and that's why I'm doing mentorship now. So this is my new thing. My real estate portfolio will continue to go. My values will continue to go up,
Mhm.
and this is my new thing is mentorship.
That's so
I
powerful.
love that.
Amazing.
So guys,
amazing.
I want you guys to realize, you know, Hector Padilla just shared a lot of insight about his, you know, his wisdom. 49 years old guy, looks like he's in his 30s, and
From
he's got-
dust to diamonds.
from dust to
Just
diamonds,
saying,
0
like,
to 100
wow.
million in properties.
Yes.
So you guys can also maximize with him. Hector, how can people find you on social media? Or
The best
like-
thing is on social media, on Instagram, the real Hector Padilla, and send me a DM. I do try to answer a lot of my DMs myself, and I also send voice messages if you ask me a good question. So if you ask me a good question, I'll send you a voice message.
Amazing.
Do not send a voice message back that's 5 minutes long. All right?
Yeah.
Just text me something short.
There you go.
But for those of you that ask me a good question, I do get back to you with a voice message or I'll text something up. Yep.
Amazing.
Loves
Well,
it.
thanks, guys. Hector, I appreciate you. Thank you
We
for being
thank
here
you
with
so
us. We
much. It
appreciate
was
you
so
very much.
amazing.
Absolutely.
Loves it. Thank you so much
And,
for being
and remember, guys, we'll roll out the YouTube probably 3 weeks from now. They roll out about 3 weeks, and we'll roll out some reels. Hopefully, you'll collaborate with us. Thanks, guys, for sharing a moment with us today, and you guys have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.